Good evening, all. So I'm going to make this quick for you.
Chris, can you just introduce, I think you might be the first time with the new council, so if you can introduce yourself, that'd be great.
So my name's Chris Bowden, Code Compliance Team Leader for the Code Office downstairs. So what I've done here is I've updated I've combined two ordinances essentially in this one workshop. I'm going to start with the easy one first, which is going to be Article 8, which is Citation System of Code Enforcement. So ultimately what this is a little bit of housekeeping. I think there's some stuff that's outdated that could have, that just should be updated just for clarity purposes.
Can you bring the mic a little closer so we can hear you?
Yes, sir. Okay. So, that is better. So, Article 8, I've done some housekeeping changes and made some amendments to the ordinance just to kind of to make it more up to date, make it a little bit clearer because there's some old, outdated information in there, and I think that in order to enforce this part of the ordinance, it just needed to be done, with the exception of Section 2, I believe it's 605, with the mention of Article 2 in licensing. But everything else, I think, could use a good update. Now, I do want to move on to licensing itself. So we don't really have any established protocols to enforce some licensing violations. So what we've done is ultimately drafted a concept. This isn't, a final draft by any means. What it is I updated the licensing ordinance to provide you just with some insight of what it would look like if we move forward on the concept to see if it's something you guys would like to pursue. I think this would provide a little bit more clarity in enforcing some of these licensing violations and an easier path to do so.
If you scroll down, Chris, you can kind of show them what you're referring to on the screen, and then that way their viewers at home can see it as well.
Sure. So we'll get there, I promise. So this is going to be Article 8. So you can see this is Section 2, 605. It does have a mention to Chapter 14, Article 2, and this is, if you guys choose to pursue the concept that we have, this would be included in the Article 8. What we have, again, updating some housekeeping items. I removed the word his out of this. Not everybody that's a violator, not everybody that does enforcement is a he. I removed Section 2, 610, the penalties out of this, because I don't believe that it really belonged in here and it was repetitive. This is an alternative form of enforcement, which is actually already specified down here, along with, there is some conflicting data, like Section 2, 638, as far as the penalty fees. I didn't feel that was clear, and I believe it needed to be updated because these fees that are in 638 don't align with, I apologize, I'm moving fast, with the penalty amounts in 641. So, and again, with 642, it was kind of similar in the sense that there was civil penalties that didn't really align with the existing civil penalties that we've been implementing for the last decade or so. So that's been updated. That was pretty much it for Article 8. Now we move to the licensing. So Section 1427, so what that is that's actually a state statute, so that's a judgment that if there is a violation that's gone to court, these are the standard penalties that a judge would have to impose on somebody. But this doesn't really say how we get there. So I actually changed it. Also, it does mention that the section mentions that the chief of police would have to initiate proceedings, but it doesn't tell you what those proceedings are. So what I've done is I've changed this to kind of make section 14-27 bring you into Article 8, which gives you an established protocol on how to enforce these issues. I believe it would probably be a little bit easier for licensing and ourselves to coordinate with these violations should they occur. Scroll a little farther here. And again, we're going to get there. Here we go. So section 14-47, this changes it from, when somebody notifies the police chief that there's a violation that's occurring. This actually changes it to our department downstairs. Again, it just simplifies the process and gives you a standardized procedure in order to enforce these issues. And I don't believe there's too much more in here.
If I could just say something, Emily Carrington, City Clerk, I just wanted to reiterate that this does not change the revocation or suspension proceedings within licensing. However, it does give a way for licenses that are non-responsive to us, that are expired, that have never applied, for us to be able to have citations for those as well.
So if you were interested in pursuing this, again, this isn't a final draft, it's just a concept. We would work with the city attorney to come up with a final draft to present to council, just to make sure that we're approaching things appropriately.
So would it be, when I looked at this, would it be fair to say that what's happening here from a big picture is that currently licensing violations are tasked to the police department, which I'm assuming has zero time to devote to this, and we're moving the enforcement of licensing violations to code enforcement and moving the method by which we do that into this same structure we're using for all other code enforcement citations? Is that
Yeah,
big picture
it's-
overview?
yeah,
Is that fair?
Essentially, that's kind of what
And
we'd be
then,
looking for.
I guess for the clerk, recently when we dealt with fees, I noticed we struck the penalties here in 2-610, and then we call them out in a paragraph here in a later section. Recently, we moved fees and penalties to the schedule. Should we be removing the fee and penalty sections here and just referencing the Appendix A?
Yes, certainly. My preference is certainly anytime fees are mentioned that they ought to be referred back to the fee schedule and amended there, yes.
Other questions or comments from the council?
Second one was mine.
Yes, okay. sir.
Just a comment, I think these changes are good. I commend you for bringing them forth. I support the intent, and would support moving forward with it.
Yeah, so I think going forward, the intention is that the two of you will work with the city attorney to have them review the language, and then you'll bring back an agenda item with the proposed changes to the ordinance. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sure.
Great, thanks. Any other final comments or thoughts from the council? Oh, great, thank you very much for bringing us to our attention.
Thank you.
Having no further workshop items, the council will be adjourned until 7 p.m. when the regular city council meeting will convene. The January 20th, 2026 Auburn City Council meeting will be called to order. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. If we could have the councilors introduce themselves, starting with Councilor Gary.
Good evening. I'm Belinda Gary. I'm a city councilor at large.
Good evening, Tim Cowan, City Councilor for Ward 2.
Good evening, Matthew Duvall, City Council, Ward 3.
Good evening, Jeff Harmon, Mayor.
Good evening, Kelly Butler, City Councilor for Ward 4.
Good evening, City Councilor Leroy Walker, Ward 5.
Good evening, Adam Platts, City Councilor at Large.
Phil Kroll, City Manager.
And I will note that Councilor Randall is out of state and won't be able to join us this evening. The first item of the agenda item are consent items. There are 3 consent items. The first one is Comprehensive Plan Committee appointments, and for clarification for the public, there are 5 appointments. 4 of them are existing members that are being moved to new seats due to city council elections and planning board appointments. And so Kelly Butler, Richard Whiting, Paul Jacks, and Matthew Duvall are current members that will remain on the committee, and there's a new planning board member selected by the planning board, Bilal Hussein. The intention here is to maintain continuity in the planning board committee, given how far they are into their work. In addition to that, there's appointment of the city manager to be our representative to the Maine Service Center Coalition, with the assistant city manager as an alternate, and also confirming Chief Moen's appointment of John Wynn as a constable with firearm. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Moved by
Second.
Council Walker. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Council Geary. The vote will be by show of hands. All those in favor? The motion is adopted. The next item is the approval of the minutes of the January 5th, 2026 regular city council meeting. Are there any errors or corrections? Not seeing any, is there a motion to adopt the minutes?
Motion to move.
Moved by Council Walker. Is there a
Second.
Second. Seconded by Council Cowan. The vote will be by show of hands. All those in favor? The minutes have been adopted. There are no communications, presentations, or recognitions tonight. We'll move on to the first open session. Any members of the public that would like to address the City Council on items that are not on tonight's agenda, please approach the podium and provide your name and address. Not seeing any, the first open session of the evening is closed. We'll move on to unfinished business. The first item is ordinance 0101052026, a recommendation by the Auburn Planning Board pursuant to Chapter 60, Article 17, Division 2, amendment to the zoning ordinance or zoning map to rezone airport-owned land from suburban residential parcel ID 156-015 to the industrial zoning district. This is for second reading and a public hearing. As a reminder for the council and members of the public, this and the following item are 2 parcels that are owned by the airport. This one was formerly a residential property that the airport has acquired, and the next one is a parcel that's been owned by the airport that was in the industrial zone in part, and in part in a residential district because of the strip zones. These items are before us to comply with FAA requirements relative to zoning for the airport. Is there a motion?
Motion to move.
Moved by Councilor Walker.
Second.
Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Cowan. We'll open the public hearing. If there's any member of the public that would like to address the council on this item, please approach the podium and provide your name and address. Not seeing any, the public hearing will be closed. Discussion by the council. Council ready for the question? The vote will be by roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Platts?
Yes.
Counselor Gary?
Yes.
Counselor Cowan?
Yes.
Counselor Duvall?
Yes.
Counselor Butler?
Yes.
6 having voted in the affirmative and none in the negative, the motion is adopted. The next item is ordinance 02-01-05-2026, a recommendation by the Auburn Planning Board pursuant to Chapter 60, Article 17, Division 2, amendment to the zoning ordinance or zoning map to rezone airport-owned land from low-density country residential parcel ID 107-011 to the industrial zoning district. This is for second reading and a public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion to move.
Moved by Counsel Walker. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Duval. We'll open the public hearing on this item. If any member of the public would like to address the council on this item, please approach the podium and provide your name and address. Not seeing any, the public hearing's closed. Discussion by the council. Council ready for the question? Vote will be by roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Platts?
Yes.
Counselor Gary?
Yes.
Counselor Cowan?
Yes.
Counselor Duvall?
Yes.
Counselor Butler?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
6 having voted in the affirmative and none in the negative, the motion's adopted. We'll move on to new business. The first item is Order 1601202026, initiating a Chapter 60 zoning ordinance amendment for planning board consideration to increase protections for important farmland and natural resources. As background, this is related to solar installations in the agricultural and natural resource protection zone. This is cleaning up the current language to clarify that solar installations are not permitted in farmland of statewide significance and prime farmland. It conforms the terms and lays out a method to make the determination about those types of land. The suggested motion here is that the council refer this to the planning board and the Sustainability and Natural Resources Management Board for their review and recommendation, asking that they report back to the council no later than February 25th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Platt. Is there a
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Cowan. If there's any member of the public who'd like to address the council on this item, please approach the podium and provide your name and address. Not seeing any, public comment will be closed. Discussion by the council. Council Platt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment. I have no problem supporting this to push it forward to the planning board. I would, however, be interested in the process to understand what percentage, roughly, of our ag zone is prime farmland. Is this proposing that all of ag is shut off to solar? Clearly, it's not. But if 100% of ag is prime farmland, then we've just ruled out solar. So I know that's not the case, but I'd like to understand the relationship between prime farmland and the ag zone.
Yeah, so we'll ask staff to provide us, when this comes back to us with a recommendation, we'll ask staff to provide us what the percentage is for both prime farmland and farmland of statewide significance, the two categories, as a percentage of the AGRP zone. Any further discussion, Council Walker?
Yeah, and as well as where the prime land is.
Yeah, yep, good point. They're currently planning, maintains some GIS map layers, so they'll be able to provide that with us so that the members of the council will be able to see where that place are located. Councilor Duvall.
Yeah, well, this, I would hope we would look at the recency of the actual soil data. I recall when we did the solar ordinance, I was on planning board, that there was some question related to a project where the soil map said it was prime farmland. The farmer was like, I wouldn't grow anything there. So
yeah, so not to get too far afield, since this is a referral, but it's a very good question, and what's in the ordinance that we're sending down for review by the two bodies includes a methodology that aligns with the state method to do this, since it's pretty clear that while the maps give one an indication of where this is located, it's not determinative. Any other questions or comments from the council? Council ready for the question? Vote will be by show of hands. All those in favor? Opposed? 6 having voted in the affirmative and none in the negative, the motion is adopted. The next item is ordinance 0301202026, granting a 180-day moratorium extension regarding needle exchange services. This will be for first reading. As background, the council will recall that you previously, actually I guess it was probably near the end of the prior council, but they instituted a 180-day moratorium on new syringe service program licensing to give the council time to consider whether there should be a municipal regulation through ordinance, and if so, what that would be. Our 180 days is going to run out in January. We're partway through that process, so this is just extending the moratorium to give the council sufficient time to consider the matter. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Councilor Geary and seconded by Councilor Cowan. If any member of the public would like to address the council on this item, please approach the podium and provide your name and address. Not seeing any, public comment is closed. As this is first reading, the vote will be by roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Gary,
Yes.
Counselor Cowan,
Yes.
Counselor Duvall,
Yes.
Counselor Butler,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Platts.
Yes.
6 having voted in the affirmative and none in the negative, the motion is adopted. The next item is ordinance 0401202026, granting a 180-day moratorium prohibiting rent or fee increases at mobile home parks. This is for first reading. As background, the council has recently received public feedback regarding the increase in types of fees being assessed in mobile home parks. This is a limited time period moratorium of 180 days prohibiting any rent or fee increases to give the council time to consider that feedback from our residents and make a determination as to whether a regulatory ordinance should be put in place. If the moratorium is, whether the moratorium, I guess, is adopted or not, the intention is to place on an upcoming meeting an agenda item for a workshop to have more detailed discussion about the issue and any potential regulatory ordinance, and if it's a sense of the council, move forward with that, move through the adoption process. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Platts. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Butler. Discussion by the council. Councilor Platts.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. I will support this measure. I will support a moratorium on rent fee increases for 6 months. However, I feel the need to state publicly that I feel very uncomfortable supporting a rent ordinance. In general, I think that rent restrictions, rent ordinances like this, moratoriums, I just think they're very. I think it's government overreach. I think it's anti-business, and I think it's anti-free market. In general, you wouldn't hear me support something like this. However, I understand that I feel, I shouldn't say understand, it's my perspective that mobile homes are different than other properties. I do understand the hardships that the residents of these mobile home parks are under right now. I understand that there's a noose around your neck and that there are choices that you do not have if these rents go up above a certain amount. So I do understand that, and for that reason, I can vote to support this. I will say, I want to call this for what it is. It's a 6-month freeze on rent. I don't necessarily believe that it's the role of the council in the future to tell that landlord how to act, to tell that landlord what fees can and can't be assessed. I understand the unfortunate situation, but I do also acknowledge that there's a space between us as city councilors and this landlord as a business person. So I will support this moratorium for all of the right reasons, but I just needed to kind of get off my chest how I feel about, government actions like this in general. But to the folks who are dealing with this, I have empathy for you, and I hope that this 6-month delay, if it passes, is of benefit to you to figure out what's next.
Any other comments by the council? Council Walker.
I just want to support Mr. Platts there, and I feel the same way. I don't want to get in the middle of renters or landlords, so I'm hoping this will iron out things that they need.
Other comments? Council Cowan.
Yeah, I have similar opinions to Councilor Platts and Councilor Walker in that I fully support the 180-day moratorium so we can understand and I can learn in particular where there is differences in these cases versus, say, renters in apartments, because to me there's a potential slippery slope here. But I think it's an important thing that we do this for right now, so we have the time to learn that and support our constituents who are struggling with what we heard at the last meeting, really dramatic increases in rent. So,
any other comments from the council? Councilor Duval.
Yeah, I would just, I fully support this moratorium, and I think to all the points that have been made, I would agree, but also say that we really, it's our duty to actually look at this, understand it fully, and support our residents in the best way that we can.
I just wanted to pass on, Councilor Randall was unable to be here tonight, but she did talk to me about this issue, and she wanted the people in the mobile home parks to understand that she is supportive of the moratorium and looks forward to working with the groups and the council going forward here at the work sessions to see what consideration might take place to address the concerns that the residents of the mobile home parks have. Is the council ready for the question? The vote will be by roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Cowan?
yes.
Counselor Duvall?
Yes.
Counselor Butler?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Platts?
Yes.
Counselor Gary?
Yes.
No, sorry, I'm sorry. We didn't. Sorry, I apologize to the public. We going through our discussions with the council, I didn't open this up. So if there's any member of the public that would like to address the council on this issue, please approach the podium. Folks can just line up, approach the podium, provide your name and address.
Frank LeClaire, 42 Washington Park Road. Pretty much I have a letter from park residents and a list of signatures that are quite concerned, and I'd like to present this to the council for further review.
Yes, you can, Ms. Earl will get this, and the clerk will make copies of that and circulate it to the councils.
Yes, and I just want to reflect on your concerns about interfering with business, but this is what I consider an overreach of business. This is not good business. It will not affect any other businesses. It's just bad business. It's abusive, and I hope you will consider that on your workshops. And thank you very much.
Yes, my name is Juliet Sanema. I live at 64 Washington Street Trailer Park. Like I've told you before, I'm ashamed to tell you I live there. I have a list of names of people that agree with us that the rent's too high. We have a lot of elderly people that are on fixed income. There's no way we can go up another $110. Because he first started out, he went with just regular, charged us twice that year for rent. The following year, he didn't charge us. Then he turned around and he raised it 60. This time he raised it 110. It don't make any sense. He does nothing in the park to improve it. He doesn't talk to the people that don't do their trash. It's all over their porches, there's trash in the road. The trailers are all, the majority of them need to be torn down. So, and you have a hard time like the sewer. Now, when that light goes on, the alarm should go off. I used to call him because the alarm would go off. And you know, nobody else called him, but I did. I'd tell him, your alarm's going off. So now, they shut the alarm off and they leave the light on. What good does that do? And I told him, if that runs over and goes in my trailer, you're gonna be a sorry man. And he left it, he said, do what you got to do. That's all he ever tells you. You can call him and complain about the sand in the road, do what you gotta do. What are you gonna do, sand the road with a shovel? The road's so rutted, we've had 2 people fall within a week and a half. One sitting right there. She hurt her ankle. She fell. She was walking her dog. She's the only one in the park that walks her dog. We have so many people in the park now that have those big dogs, 2 and 3 dogs per trailer. I bet you they're not even licensed. And then it's to a point where it's unbearable. But who can, if I'm 80, my husband's 83, how are we gonna move at our age? The down payment on homes at my age, I'm not buying a house. It's just impossible. You go to bed wondering, is he gonna raise that rent some more and throw all of us out because we can't pay? Because he wants to rent trailers? That's not right. And when he collects his money, I don't care if he lives out of town, he should be there to check on his own trailers that he owns and the ones that are renting the lots. And make sure that people keep up with whatever the trash, the yards picked up. He should be there. And we shouldn't have to worry about being thrown out at our age. We have the right to stay in our own home. Now, I hope deeply, sincerely, that you people are our last hope. We have no one else to turn to. So please, follow your heart. Thank you.
Ma'am, if you provide their document to Ms. Earl, the clerk will circulate that to the council members.
That's okay.
Another one.
My name's Sharon Dickinson, and I own my mobile home in J-Land Mobile Home Park. And my rent went up in 2025 from $475 to $600, and that just doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why I'm here, and a few of us went around and got signatures, and I think half of the park, I think at least. Thank you. So my sentiments are the same as Juliet's and everyone else's, so I'm just going to let Julie talk a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you ready? Okay. Hi. My name is Julie Francoeur, and I'm deaf. I have a pacemaker on my heart. I've been living in the park in Jaylin for 20 years. They have to work on the road, they have to work on the lights, they have to improve so many things. I'm deaf, I can't see, and it's pitch black there. It's awful for me. And there's a real problem also with the sewer and keeping it clean. It's dirty, it smells. You know, there's a lot of cleanup that needs to be done. You know, I've seen the trash before just laying all over the road, you know, trash cans, you know, there and just left there with dirt and filth all over them. Snow plowing is another issue, and sanding. David and Jeff worked on my house to do repairs on my house. But here's the problem. This one man came in and was doing the repairs, moved into my house, stayed there for 3 weeks without permission to be there, arguing with me, you know, and saying, I'm working for RCM and I'm fixing your house, and wouldn't leave. You know, I had my electricity cut 2 times. I had my water cut off. There wasn't enough water in the house while they were doing this. Didn't have hot water for the showers. I couldn't get hot water for washing dishes. CMP cut things off. So water cut off, electricity cut off for sizable time. None of the treatment or the maintenance that's been going on there has been appropriate at all. You know, there should be friendly people in the park. There should be people who care about us, who are taking care of that park. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who would like to address the council on this issue? If so, please approach the podium, provide your name and address.
I agree with what you say.
Okay. Excuse me, ma'am. Could you turn the mic around there? Thank you.
I agree with what you say about impaling business. I think more of what we're asking for is some representation of the dramatic raises in rent. The rent has quadrupled. I've been there over 20 years. Yet the condition of the park has gone completely downhill. I understand the economy today, things get more expensive. But without representation of the money that we're paying, what is the point of living in that kind of business? The point of paying rent is so that my sewer works, so I have dependable water, so that my road is passable, so that the electricity and the street lights stay on. I haven't enjoyed those liberties since this man bought my park. And I think that's what everybody is getting at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other member of the public who'd like to address the council? Please approach the podium. Not seeing any, public comment will be closed. Again, for the residents of the mobile home parks that are here, just to clarify this is first reading. At the next city council meeting, there'll be second reading, in which case, on an affirmative vote of the council, that's when the moratorium would take effect. It will be for 180 days, and members of the residents of the park should watch the city council agenda on the city's website for upcoming work sessions regarding this issue. With that, we'll move on to reports. I have a very short report tonight. The joint session of the Lewiston Auburn councils were at the airport master planning final draft presentation last week. I want to thank the staff and the consultant for their work. I think they've done an excellent job on the master plan. I think it's really important to recognize the cooperative effort that's taken place over the last few years between staff, the tenants at the airport that run the various businesses there, the users of the airport. I think collectively they've made really good progress, and this is resulting in a master plan. If any residents are interested, they can go to the Auburn-Lewiston Airport website and see the details of the plan. With that, Councilor Gary?
I've got a sort of a question on that last vote that we sort of took. Accidentally didn't allow the public to speak after we had voted, but was the vote finally done, or was it stopped?
The vote was taken. It was my error. I didn't call for the public. In the adoption process, it's not going to make a difference because we have public hearing. The required public hearing will be at the second reading, so we'll have a public hearing again before the final vote.
I mean, I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just want to make sure everything is done right so that this property owner can't come back on us and say, you didn't do something right.
Sure, and just to verify with the clerk that the roll call was taken and it passed unanimously at first reading, correct? Yeah, thank you very much. Anything further tonight, Councilor Gary?
I would like to thank the age-friendly group for all the hard work they do to put on events for all Auburn residents, no matter what their age is. And I highly commend them for all the hard work they did with this clothes drive. By what they did, it created a place where people could drop off clothes and get them to those that are most vulnerable and that needs these things. They work their butt off collecting, then they're setting them up, and then they have to clean up what's left. So I commend them. And I commend them for all the other events they have throughout the year and the meals they put on, because they don't have to do it, but they do it because they have a heart of gold and they really care for Auburn residents.
Thank you very much. Councilor Cowan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to give folks updates from the Auburn Homelessness Committee. We've been meeting bi-weekly for a while since we started, largely to get up to speed and get prepared for two things. One is recommendations for the City Council in terms of what we would encourage be considered for financial support in the budget. But more importantly and more timely is the point-in-time counts are done every year in January. These are really important effort because the results and the counts of the number of people who are homeless or getting help from the warming center or shelter in Lewiston, that goes to what we get for support from the state. So that is happening next week. We're well prepared for that. We're feeling that we have a number of people who are volunteering to talk to those who are homeless, particularly those who come into the 121 Mill Street on Wednesday for the drop-in center. And so I think that'll be in good shape. The other piece, just to give you some, that we did vote on recommendations that we will be passing on to City Manager Crowell and Superintendent Doris in terms of funding we want you all to consider, or the school board. But also just to give people an update on the activities that are happening, because there's been a lot of great efforts and a lot of support being provided. So the drop-in center, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of when the drop-in center moved into 121 Mill Street facility, into the Auburn Resource Center. Some numbers they provided for us. In 2025, they had just shy of 12,000 visits over the year, and since Thanksgiving of 2024, they've been counting and keeping track of the number of individuals, unique individuals, and they've provided support to 1,259. This was as of a couple weeks ago. So a lot of folks are taking advantage of the resources there, which is great. And there's only one part-time employee for that drop-in center as a not-for-profit there are a number, I can't see it in my notes, but a number of volunteers who make it capable of having 2 days a week that they're providing food, providing equipment or clothes and other resources for folks. Secondly, just from the warming center / shelter over in Lewiston, this weekend they reached a significant milestone. They provided support to the 500th individual since they opened just a couple months ago in November. And they are averaging about 113 folks who are able to stay there at night and through the day. Importantly, we do have transportation established, so folks can come from the warming center or shelter over to 121 Mill Street when they need it, and so that's helping with the resources. So a lot of folks who are being helped. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take that back to the group and get you information. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Duval.
Yeah, so the Sustainability and Natural Resources Board had its meeting earlier in the month, and in addition to doing some business, they tossed around some ideas about potentially trying to meet actually with the Comprehensive Plan Committee to talk about the future land use map.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Butler.
I had the opportunity to sit with the Lewiston Auburn 911 committee for the first time, and just really want to say it's an impressive group of folks who are tirelessly working at some of their new projects, but also looking at budgetary concerns and limitations around staffing, which I think presents some real challenges for them, but also just saw a lot of creative problem solving happening at the table. So looking forward to continuing the work with them.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Walker.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'd like to put a big shout out for all the people that volunteered to help us for the age-friendly clothing giveaway. We spent pretty close to 14 hours at the 121 Mill Street setting up and being there to give away clothing. We had so much clothing, it was unbelievable. People were walking out of there with 3 and 4 boxes at a time. We had about 145 people show up. We were hoping for 200, but we were very happy to get the 145. They were all, I'm sure, needy people. They were there, they were happy. And most of them stayed for a good hour looking through all the clothing. There was stacks of it so high on the tables, sometimes there were 20 minutes at one table. But it was really a lot of fun. And I got to give a shout out to the high school kids that came to help us that day. Mrs. Chapman, she's a school teacher, and she got some to volunteer. Because it was a snow day Saturday, quite a few of our seniors didn't show up to help because they won't drive in that kind of weather. But it was a successful turnout, and we had thousands and thousands of pieces, clothing, shoes, hats, coats, everything you could think of. So thank you to everybody, and thank you to 121 Mill Street for hosting us. It's a great place. It's been painted. The floors are painted now and sealed. The place really looks nice to go into. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Walker. Councilor Platt.
Thank you. Not much of an update. I just wanted to update you guys on kind of an ongoing thing with the school department, finance department, the overage of the fund balance that I've been bringing up periodically for the new counselors. Just a reminder that the school department learned in the current budget process that they were holding too much fund balance. There's a state mandated percentage that they can carry. They were carrying more than that. So as a result, they're then tasked with reallocating dollars from their fund balance elsewhere. I bring this up because it's one of the more pressing financial issues in the school department right now that we're being apprised of. So year to date, we've reallocated $247,819 from their fund balance to other projects, mostly capital expenditure projects, things that would have gone towards a bond and further tax increases. So I bring this up to the council again just to remind you that if anybody has any input or insight as to how you would like to see the school department further remove funds from the fund balance into other areas, feel free to have that discussion with me. There are CapEx projects that this money could go towards. There's capital reserve funds that this money could go towards. Obviously, ultimately, this is the decision of the school department, but in my role as a representative, I want to make sure I'm echoing the sentiments of the council with regard to this important financial decision. So it's an okay problem to have. They have an excess of funds, but I think that it's important to be responsible in the spending of those funds. Those funds should be spent on things that were always going to be expended as opposed to new ideas that may have just popped up. So that's the role I'm trying to take, and I welcome any feedback with regard to that.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few items. One, we do have a new website. The new website requires, if you were enrolled in the text or email alert, to re-enroll into that system. So we encourage people to do that. If you are not enrolled, we encourage you to do that as well, so you can get regular updates on city activity and events. Also, the application for the Senior Tax Assistance Program is now currently on the website. If anyone's looking for some assistance, either obtaining that if they cannot take it off the website, or just call the City Hall, and the staff will assist in getting you the application. Just as a reminder, the applications will be submitted. However, funding for that program will be determined in the FY27 budget. And the last item is, next week is Winter Salt Week. Public Works will be doing some public education regarding proper environmental friendly use of salt, either in private parking lots, what we do on our roads, educating the public on that process. So I just want to push that out, that we'll be having that. So look for some of that education information next week.
Thank you very much. Ms. Earl, quarterly finance report.
All right, so we are, as of December 31st, halfway through our current fiscal year. So that would be 50% of the fiscal year completed. Our revenues are representing 55.5% of estimates, and our expenditures are at 54.6 of those projections. Compared to last year, we're right on target. We're also right on target with our projections. So there's no areas of significant variance or concern with those overall general fund percentages and numbers. The second page of the report goes into a little bit more detail about our top 7 revenues. I had mentioned that this is something we'd be doing moving forward, so we're going to continue with that. Some areas of note are building permits. So you'll see that the year-to-date actual is, we're at 257.73% of budgeted. That is mainly due to the water main project that Lewiston did. It's a one-time. We don't expect that that's going to occur again in the future, and was not necessarily predictable based on when they did that project. So we wouldn't necessarily have projected that revenue for us. So we don't expect to see a 257% revenue on that line moving forward, but that's, since that variance was so high, I wanted to make note of that specific project. Other than that, we are at 1.6% greater collection for property taxes than we were prior year, so that's good. That means people are finding their online or in-person service and are able to connect with us about their tax bills. We've also had a lot of payoffs of prior tax years. We've returned, or not returned, we've removed liens on several properties. So that's great. We love to see that. We don't want to have those things. So that's been a really positive thing for the clerk tax office. And the other piece is the vehicle excise tax. So we're at 55.51% of projected revenues. The dollar amount of that is $90,522, greater than at the same time last year. So we've talked about this a few times over the years, but basically a lot of new cars, and newer cars are getting more expensive. So we'll continue to see small increases on that line each year as we go along. Our expenditures, so we only have a 0.78% difference from last year at the same time. So right on target, about as close to on target as you can get with when it comes to comparisons. Just something to note is that health and social services line shows a 15.8% decrease. That is a reduction in demand of the services. What causes that reduction in demand? I can certainly find out if anyone has specific questions, but generally it's that we projected that there'd be a higher demand for those services, and whether or not some outside things have caused a change in that, that would be something that I can discuss with that department if anybody wants some additional information. But that's just, again, overall general fund, we're right where we're supposed to be. Those are just some specific variances that I wanted to make sure that everyone knew. I see them, but there's no actual issue with any of these lines. Some other things to note, Norway Savings Bank Arena has an operating gain year-to-date of $279,671, so they're in a healthy range and right where they should be at this time of year. And same for Ingersoll, they have a smaller operating gain, but as they're a smaller building and operation, that would be expected. But their operating gain year-to-date is $30,808. So again, also in a very healthy range and something that we're happy to see. And then that last page, or at least of the written section of the report before you get to all the fun number part, is just updates on the financial services department, so you can see what accounting, assessing, and the clerk division were doing during this period. Again, if anybody ever has any questions about anything they see in the report, feel free to send an email to city manager, and we can get some of those answers if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Is there a motion to,
Motion to move.
Just, Ms. Earl, fantastic front matter. Absolutely love the formatting, the educational pieces, the definitions of terms. I think anyone who picked this up who wasn't familiar could really learn and understand what was there. So really well done to you and your team.
Council Walker?
And I'll second that.
Sorry. Motion to move.
Council Walker's move for acceptance of the report. Is there a second? Seconded by Council Cowan. Vote by show of hands. All those in favor? The motion is adopted. We'll now move on to the last open session of the evening. Any member of the public who'd like to address the council on an item that's not on tonight's agenda, please approach the podium and provide your name and address. Not seeing any, the open session is closed. There are no further executive sessions for this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Council Cowan and seconded by Council Walker. All those in favor? The council will be adjourned.